You know, waiting for your dreams to happen can be one of the hardest seasons of life. Whether you're waiting for a breakthrough, a career opportunity, a relationship, or the fulfillment of a calling, it can be frustrating and discouraging. But waiting is not wasted time. Joyce Meyer felt called to teach the Word of God, but her journey to the worldwide ministry she has today, it didn't happen overnight. In the early years, she felt led to small Bible studies in her home and taught at a local church. She had a deep passion for helping people grow in their faith, but the platform she has today didn't come instantly. For years, she served faithfully in small settings, teaching just a handful of people. She even worked a regular job and faced, personal struggles, including healing from past abuse and overcoming self-doubt. She often shares how she would get frustrated, wondering why God wasn't opening bigger doors when she felt a call so strongly. One of her biggest lessons during this period of time was learning to be faithful in the small things. She talks about how one of those small things was just putting the shopping cart back after shopping, right? She trusted that if she stewarded what God had given her well, He would bring an increase in His timing. And eventually, she started a local radio program, which led to national syndication and then the launch of her global television ministry, Enjoying Everyday Life. Today, she reaches millions with her teachings, but it all started with a small group, patience, and trust in God's process. Her story is a great reminder that waiting isn't wasted time, it's preparation. God often tests our faithfulness in the small things before entrusting us with something greater. Luke 16:10 says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." So if you're in a waiting season, let Joyce Meyer's story inspire you to stay faithful, grow in your character, and trust that God's timing will eventually lead to something greater than you could have ever imagined. Waiting for your dreams to happen can be one of the hardest seasons of life. Whether you're waiting for a breakthrough, a career opportunity, a relationship, or the fulfillment of a calling, it can be frustrating and discouraging. But waiting is not wasted time. God often uses these seasons of waiting to prepare us, mold us, and draw us closer to Him. So what should you do in the waiting? Here are some key principles to help you make the most of this season. Number one is to just trust God's timing, that it's perfect. One of the hardest things to accept is that God's timing is different from ours. In a world that values instant results, waiting can feel like punishment almost. But in God's kingdom, delay often means preparation. The Bible assures us that His plans are not only intentional, but perfectly timed. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says He has made everything beautiful in its time. Habakkuk 2:3 says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time. It hastens to the end, it will not lie." Waiting on God doesn't mean He's forgotten you. It means He's working things out behind the scenes in ways that you have not seen yet. Instead of doubting, trust that God sees the bigger picture. He knows not only what you need, but also when you are ready to receive it. When Terri Savelle Foy first started her podcast, she was so nervous that she forgot to smile, even though smiling comes almost as second nature to her. She had to grow into her confidence, and in those early days, her videos averaged maybe 22 views a day, which to me is pretty good as just starting out myself. But rather than get discouraged, she used that as a season of preparation. Over time, she improved, gained experience, stayed consistent, and now she has seen over 50 million views on her YouTube channel, recorded TV shows for over a decade, and speaks on stages to thousands. What looked like a small beginning was actually God preparing her for something bigger. "I'm so glad not many people were watching in the beginning," she says. She could have stopped because she wasn't seeing her podcast reaching very many people, but if she would have stopped, she would have never made the impact that she's making today. And that early season, though it felt unseen, God was using it as a training ground. Delays are not denials. They're often divine appointments in disguise. Keep trusting, keep preparing, and rest assured that when the time is right, God will make it happen. Number 2, become the person capable of achieving the dream. Oftentimes, the waiting period is about preparation, like I've said. God is shaping you into the person who can handle that kind of dream that you have when it arrives. David was anointed king as a young boy, but he didn't take the throne until years later. In the meantime, he was growing in courage, in leadership, and in reliance on God, while tending sheep and fighting battles that no one else saw. In the same way, many people experience hidden seasons of growth that feel ordinary or overlooked, but they are deeply significant in God's eyes. One beautiful example is Darlene Zschech, the worship leader who wrote Shout to the Lord. She penned that song during a personal season of hardship and brokenness on an ordinary day at home while taking care of her young children. At the time, she had no intention of writing a global worship anthem. She was simply pouring her heart out to God in private. But because she wrote it down and stayed faithful to her quiet worship life, when the opportunity came to record a song for Hillsong's upcoming project, Shout to the Lord was ready. That song went on to become one of the most sung worship songs worldwide, touching millions. It was born in a hidden place, but it was ready when the world needed it. Use this time of waiting to develop your character, your discipline, your wisdom, and ask yourself, what skills do I need to develop for my calling? What areas of my character need refining? And how can I become more faithful in the small things so I'm ready for the big things? Again, Luke 16:10, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Remember, your unseen obedience is never wasted. The song, the message, the business, the breakthrough, God knows exactly when to bring it forward. Just make sure you're ready when He does. Okay, next one. Focus on personal growth. This goes hand in hand with becoming the person that you're meant to be. This is the perfect time to invest in yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Read books, listen to podcasts, take courses, and seek out wisdom from other mentors. We can't become what we need to be by remaining what we are. Oprah Winfrey. Think of this as a season of not being stuck, but as being in training. Like I mentioned, David was in the fields with the sheep. If you remember, he killed a lion and a bear with his bare hands, which led him to eventually defeating Goliath later. Some practical growth strategies. Okay. Read books related to your calling, spiritual growth, leadership, finances, relationships, whatever it may be. 2, listen to sermons and Christian podcasts like this one to encourage your faith, build your faith, and encourage endurance. Study the Bible deeply to grow in wisdom. Learn a new skill that maybe aligns with your purpose and your dream. And journal regularly to reflect on what God is showing you. Proverbs 4:7 says, the beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Though it costs you all you have, get understanding. Even Jesus spent 30 years in quiet preparation before 3 years of public ministry. Don't despise the slow seasons. They're where your deep roots grow. Okay, next one. Serve where you are. You don't have to wait until your dream happens to start making a difference where you are. Be faithful where you are right now. Serve in your church, volunteer. Use your gifts to bless others, even if it feels small or unseen. One great example is Ruth. She had every reason to give up after losing her husband and leaving her homeland. But instead of staying stuck in grief, she chose to serve faithfully, gleaning in the fields, taking care of Naomi, and showing integrity in everyday tasks. She wasn't chasing a platform or recognition. She was just obedient. And through that obedience, God positioned her to be a part of the lineage of Jesus. Her faithfulness in the ordinary led to an extraordinary purpose. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as you're working unto the Lord and not for human masters. You never know who's watching your faithfulness or what God is preparing you through your willingness to serve right where you are. Next one is keep praying and seeking God during this waiting season. Waiting is not just about doing, it's about growing your relationship with God. Keep praying and fasting and seeking His presence. Ask him for the guidance and strength to endure the wait. Isaiah 40 verse 31 says, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." There are countless testimonies of people who have waited and saw God move miraculously. One of those is also Joyce Meyer. We talked about her at the beginning, who spent years in small Bible studies, local ministry, before she ever had a worldwide platform. She remained faithful in the waiting, and in God's timing, he expanded her reach. The next one is stay in community and encourage others. Isolation during a waiting season can lead to discouragement. Stay connected with a church community, trusted friends, mentors who will encourage and uplift you. Hebrews 10:24 and 25 says, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, and encourage one another." I want you to embrace the waiting. This waiting season is not punishment, it's preparation. God is working behind the scenes even when you don't see it. Stay faithful, grow in wisdom, and trust that at the right time, God will bring your dream to pass. Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." What are you doing in your waiting season? I want you to share in the comments below something that you're doing during this waiting season. And let's encourage one another as we trust in God's timing. Remember, you are worthy, loved, and chosen. Thank you for watching today.